Hello and welcome back to another live. We're on Facebook and LinkedIn and now YouTube. So if this is your first time into the channel, thank you so much for joining us. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you tap the little bell notification for every single video that we put out here every single Friday at 4 o'clock. Today, super excited to talk with Skap, my man Skap. He's going to be here in just a second. He is an appraiser here in the Atlanta area. Of course, appraisers get a ton of heat for real estate transactions, some of them going very, very well, some of them not going very, very well. But if you have a question today, I'd love for you to join us in the comments here. You can leave your questions through Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. So we will get right into it, and we'll get Skap in here in just a moment. All right, my man. What's going on? Happy Friday.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing really, really well. I appreciate you taking the time today. I know a lot of people give appraisers a hard time, so today we're going to end all of that completely for good.
Yeah, you are way off base there. It's kind of like, I just got to say it. It's kind of like you're putting on fast greens. It's not going to go in the hole, man. It's just never going to work.
Got it. Good enough. Well, so for the couple of people out there that don't know you, have never heard of you, maybe not in real estate, maybe not in the Atlanta area, tell them who you are, where you are, the area that you serve, and of course, what you do.
Man, it sounds like a clubhouse introduction. I love it. Done it many times. So yeah, my name is Mark Skapinetz. I go by the name Skap. I am a certified real estate appraiser here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. I've been doing it now for almost 20 plus years. Started my career in New Jersey, took it down to Florida for a little bit, very brief time, moved up here to the Atlanta area. And then in 2007, 2008, I started my own company called It Worth Appraisal Services. Over time, I got more involved with the appraisal profession and advocacy. I started to advocate for appraisers and everything that was going on after the crash. I became the executive vice president of the American Guild of Appraisers, but then I morphed into the current president of the American Guild of Appraisers, and it's a group that advocates for appraisers. We help appraisers with issues, whether it's from AMC issues, getting payments, blacklisted, things of that nature. So we really try to strive to help our members get right representation and have good outcomes come out for them. And then, you know what? I'm just a golf fanatic. I've got my duck diving dog who actually is retired now. I live here in Atlanta, Marietta area with my wife, Hope. And, just trying to do the best I can, man.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, it only took 2 minutes for someone from your community, of course, to come in here and say, hey, so what's up, William? Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. If you're watching this live, please hop into the comments. We'd love to have you. We will display them here. And then if it's a question, of course, Skap will take all the questions. I agreed to 0 questions today. So, right, that's the deal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I'll just let you know, I posted this to my 100% group for the appraiser. So we might get a bunch of appraisers making some snarky comments. I'll be able to know who they are and kind of weed through them. So we'll keep this going pretty smoothly.
I love it. Well, so let's talk a little bit about you and go a little deeper, because I think what you're doing is really cool. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, right? So I think that, and you said this before about me and my content, which I really appreciate, by the way, but also I think there's this common theme between you and I, which is we're trying to educate people, right? We're trying to bring good information to people, whether it's through live video like this, through stories, YouTube, even a podcast, right? And I know you have a podcast. Talk to us a little bit about that, why you started it, why it's important to you. And because, I got to believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I have been known to be wrong only once actually before, but there's no major sponsor underwriting your pod. You don't get $100,000 a year to run a podcast, but you are educating people. And so tell us a little more about that and why that's cool for you.
Well, I did the podcast. I haven't done episodes in quite some time because I've been concentrating on some other things, but it's something I definitely want to get back into. But I write a lot of blogs as well. I know you had mentioned the People's Appraiser blog. I actually switched that out, and it's now called the Skap the Appraiser appraisal blog that I have out there. And again, it's just like you, it's just to educate people. It's just to educate the consumers, agents, people who don't know about the appraisal profession. You know, they don't understand what actually goes on behind the scenes, what we deal with, how we do things. They don't understand the issues. So for me, it was just important, you know, for my journey to actually create something and create some content that I could put out there to help people out, you know, have a resource for them. I mean, I have on my website as well, I have a different blog under my Atlanta Property Appraiser .com site for my business. I have some other blogs under there about different issues, different things that we deal with in the Atlanta area, such as basements versus non-basements, the so-called terrace level, you guys all call it. But, you know, these are just the things that I just thought would separate me from other people out there. And it's worked out very well. It's actually grown, and I get a lot of people commenting on different articles that I write, different things I put out there. But again, it's more so not for me. It's more so for you and for everybody else to understand things coming from an appraiser standpoint. You know, where you do very well on your content and your Instagrams and everything that you do. You're doing it from an agent standpoint. Wait, now let me get this right, because I know if I pronounce this wrong, I'm going to get such a backlash, because it's happened before, from a realtor. I think I said it right.
That's right.
Standpoint. You know, you all put things out there to, you know, attract clients, to attract people, to get good information out there. And that's just kind of what I was trying to do with what I do, and starting my big appraisal group, where we have over 3,500 independent appraisers, where we can actually trade information and talk about things and talk about the issues, and then gather that info and put it into a blog or a podcast or something that the correct information gets out there, not the wrong information.
Right. Well, and that's the reason it's really cool and really important, I think, is one big reason for me, honestly, is people don't, consumers, I should say, our clients, both our mutual clients, don't really understand, you know, they don't do this every day like you and I do. So first of all, in the context of, we're doing this every single day and things are moving and changing, right? So because you sell your house every 7 to 10 years, you may not have the latest and greatest information. And especially if your realtor, if your appraiser isn't up to snuff on stuff, that can really set you back, right? So I think that's a really good and important point. But there are some like fundamental things, right, that never change, that in terms of values and in terms of things adding value to a home or taking away value from a home. I mean, I know we could talk for hours about this, but just give the folks here 2 or 3 ideas of what increases the value of a home and what decreases, because I can tell them, you know, from my realtor, you know, put my realtor hat on, I can tell, but I can also tell them as a consumer, like, this color is not really in right now. Now you may love it and you may think it's great. But there are people that can look beyond that stuff. There's some stuff that you look at that is unchangeable in a lot of ways, right?
No, and I agree, and I think, you know, you just made a great point right there, where you were talking about colors of paint and stuff. Look, I don't care about what color your house is, what your walls are, because that's not part of my job.
Right.
So you as agents and realtors, I'm going to keep stressing it that way. You know, you're advocating for your client. You're advocating for, whether it's your seller or if you're a buyer's agent, you're advocating for them. Okay. Mm-hmm. As appraisers, we advocate for no one. I may work for the lender and the lender sends me to judge, but I'm not working for them. And that, even if I was doing a private appraisal for you, Matt, on your home for, say, a pre-listing, or you just want to know the value of your home, the color of your walls is not something that I really specifically care about. Okay. Right. From an agent standpoint, yes, maybe you need to be up to date with the colors of the walls. You want something that's going to be more appealing so that you attract more buyers. Or, you know, when you're selling your home, you want things to be up to date. So as an appraiser, a lot of those little things, they just don't matter to me. Here's what matters to me as an appraiser. I want to know where the location of this house is. I want to know the neighborhood it's in. I want to know the area that it's in. I want to know the actual size of the home, the actual livable area. And when I say livable area, I'm going to stress this so hard, because I just shared a post in my Instagram account where an agent actually used tax records information that showed the house to be 1,367 square feet, livable space. When I got out there and I measured the home, it turned out to be 2,050 square feet. There was an upper level that wasn't mentioned, and the sketch on tax records was wrong. So I want to know the actual livable square footage of this house. That gets me into the next point, basements. Everybody thinks a finished basement's livable space because you can walk out. No, a basement's a basement's a basement. You know, as long as one level's below ground, finished or not, it's a basement.
Yep.
You know, in most areas. I mean, there are some times that it doesn't count as a basement. It could count as livable area. But again, location, I want to know the size of the home. I want to know the condition of the home. That's a big one. I want to know I want to be able to see the condition of this property. Has it been updated and well kept? Does it have a lot of deferred maintenance? Does it have issues to it? Those things matter big time in an appraisal. Those are probably the three biggest things that I'm going to be looking at. And then obviously it's other things such as the quality of the build. You know, I want to look at the quality of the materials that were built. Now, I also want to know, have you updated your home? What did you do to it? Did you put in granite? Did you put in this? You know, what have you done in the years past to have this home be what it looks like today? You know, so those are the things that I'm going to be looking at. And those are the things that really matter to me when I look at, do I care about your wall color? No. Do I care about your drapes? No. Do I care about your shag carpeting? Well, yeah, I mean, kind of, depending on what I'm comparing it to. But again, but I want to look at those interior features. I mean, I want to know, you have, hardwood floors compared to a home that has shag carpeting. I mean, obviously there's a difference there. For sure. You know, so I'm looking more in depth at things, and I'm looking at things as a whole, and then I go through and start to select my comparables. But when it comes time to nitpick things, a lot of those little things that you're trying to do as a seller's agent or a buyer's agent, those aren't the things that I'm really too concerned with.
Right. Well, and I think it's worth stating too here that, just like in it, what's that?
I can't hear you.
Did I lose you? Let me see. Can you hear me?
No,
okay, you're good. Okay.
You were muted.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know. So that I'm really glad that you mentioned all of that, because I think that we need to kind of set the stage for this, right? And I try to tell my clients, especially on the listing side, this all the time, and occasionally on the buyer side as well, that you have to understand that me as an agent, me as a realtor, that things are, again, moving so quickly right now in terms of market dynamics, right? That every 2 weeks we're going through a hard reset of whatever happened in the last 2 weeks is relative, yet at the same time, it doesn't really matter. And even December 17th, here we are, everything that happened in November is old news at this point. So, we can't really take that. And a lot of people will, I mean, I know historically I've heard, a bunch of the significantly older agents talk about, well, we just take December off because no one's moving. Well, I had a closing 2 weeks ago. I see people on Instagram closing deals all the time in November and December. So I think times have changed a little bit. But in addition, this is one man's opinion, right? Like, it's my opinion. I give my sellers a range and I say, look, if we do a couple things, yeah, we could probably reach the higher end of this range. But if we do it as is, we might be on the lower side here, right? So there could be a 20 or even a 50,000, depending on the price point, of course, range here that we look at. But just like my opinion is one man's opinion, the next agent that comes through the door is going to have a totally different opinion, and it could be higher or lower or exactly what I said. But just like that with you guys, like you said, I represent the bank in a lot of cases, but a lot of people do hire you for independent appraisals where you come out, you talk to them about their house, about that maintenance and stuff. You do ask questions. There is some discovery that goes on, but talk to us a little bit about the difference, because I think that's a really important point, that if I'm going to hire Mark or Skap, we're going to call him Skap, by the way, from here on out. If I hire Skap for a private appraisal, if Matt LaMarche wants to hire you, talk to us a little bit about that process. And then, of course, once a loan gets involved, once a purchase and sale agreement is in place, what does that structure look like? Because I got to believe there's a little bit of difference.
Well, it's not much of a difference, because here's why. I mean, the really only significant difference is who's hiring me. Okay, you're hiring me privately and paying me privately to do what you want me to do, whatever that scope of work is, whether it's for a divorce, a value opinion, a pre-listing, whatever it is. A bank's hiring me to gauge their risk on this property for whatever they're going to lend that money out onto. All the process is still to stay the same. There's the only difference other than that is just the form that I'm using, that I use. I mean, I can choose to use what we call a GP residential form or a narrative form to do something for you. I could write it on a napkin if you wanted me to, if I do the proper research and give it to you. A bank has specific guidelines, regulations, and things out there that they want met or that they need. So every lender pretty much has different guidelines, different stuff. I mean, a lot of it's the same, but some lenders want more things than others. But the process is still completely the same. I still do my job exactly, whether it's a refinance, a purchase, a private appraisal, whatever, everything's the same. Here's the only other difference with this. I can't, when I do a job for you, say, Matt LaMarche, for your home, and once I talk to you, get all my information, see your house, measure it, everything, and I do my appraisal and I send it to you, and you have questions to ask me about the appraisal, because you hired me, I can talk to you about anything you want to talk about. You're my client, so I will talk to you about whatever you want me to talk to you about. Hey, how did you come up with this adjustment? Or how did you do this? Or why wasn't this one considered? Whatever it may be. When it comes to a bank, there are certain things I can talk to you about if you're the borrower. So now you're playing the borrower role, say on a refinance or purchase. You call me up, you have issues with the appraisal. Oh, it's appraised too low and there's some issues there. So what I say is basically, look, there are things I can talk to you about and there are things I can't talk to you about. When it comes to a lender appraisal, I cannot talk to you about anything dealing with assignment results or anything dealing with the assignment. So I can't tell you anything about why I made an adjustment to this, or I can't tell you why I did this or that. I can only speak to the lender. Now, if you ask me, hey, why wasn't my basement included in the livable area or whatever, or I have 4 bathrooms, one's in the basement, it only says 3. Those are things I can talk to you about and say, hey, look, if you read the report the right way, it shows it here, 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 it's separated out, fine. Or, hey, how come, my fence wasn't included in the appraisal? Okay, everybody has a fence or something. Okay, great. I'll talk to you about it a little bit. But when it comes to the actual value and the actual how I derive that value and the comps I use and things, those are things I cannot speak to you about. It's just law. It's between me and the lender that I have to talk to you. What I do as an appraiser, and I'm not sure about other appraisers out there, if you call me up directly on a refinance or purchase and you have an issue that I can't speak to you about, but it's relevant, I will simply say to you, Matt, it's a valid point. Please submit that question or submit that to the lender to address it properly, and then allow them to go through the proper protocol, address it through the lender, comes back to me, the AMC, whatever comes back, and now I will address that in my report the proper way, whether it's good or bad. I mean, I'm not going to guarantee you it's always going to be a positive thing, but I will address it and address it the appropriate way to make sure that I'm abiding by the laws and regulations that are out there.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you mentioned Instagram earlier, so of course we had to leave the Instagram down here. So if you guys haven't followed Skap on Instagram, super easy, Atlanta Property Appraiser. You can find him all over there, and he is sharing a ton of really good information that, like you said, is contextual, right? Because every property in Georgia, at least I feel like, is absolutely different. Like, go to Phoenix, they're all basically the same. They're just stamped out. But here in the Atlanta area in particular, every property is literally different. Even a lot of these newer developments that, they seem pretty close, they're not.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, there's in Atlanta here, we have so much, like, I would say, diverse types of homes out there, ranging back from your shotgun homes to your your big, huge mansions to, the newest great craze of building a craftsman home in every development that's out there, so, you really need to be in tune with what you're looking at and be in tune with that specific market area. And that's where you have to really pay attention more. If you're trying to compare something in say Morningside to West End, well, sorry, not going to happen. Or, Buckhead to Chastain Park, well, kind of similar, but which side of Roswell Road are you on there, my friend?
Right. That's right.
So, but you have to really be in tune with what that market is and what's going on out there. And I think agents do a good job at doing that. Appraisers just do things a little bit differently, where we really deeply dive into things. As you do your CMA, you're finding your properties, you're showing what's sold, similar, what's active, what's pending. Appraisers do the same thing, but yet we will dive even deeper and deeper into things. And it's just like that example with the house that I just did that had the the square footage that was completely wrong. Had I just gone off of what the agent said and everything, okay, well, I would have given a false appraisal.
Yeah.
I dove deeper to find out the information. I dive deeper into finding out what zoning laws are and what the setbacks are. There's so much more that goes into appraising than just
throw a number.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, I think you're exactly right. And that's why I say the range is important, right? For our purposes at least. I mean, and again, a lot of this is literally changing. Like I look back at some of the houses that I sold even last year and I'm like, those people can make like they've got 30, 40, 50% of equity now, right? For what they put down in their down payment and then the appreciation that they've experienced. But what you mentioned there is really important, and I hope it doesn't get missed on everyone here, which is number one, things are changing, but also number two, there are some instances in which a seller gives me information that's incorrect, right? And I don't know any better until I go confirm that information, right? So if there's ever any question in my mind of, is the seller providing me accurate and or transparent or honest information, I'll go find it myself, right? And the tax assessor's website's not always right either. Neither is Zillow, neither is every other site out there. So you really do, I think, to serve your clients at a higher level, and I know that's what you're trying to do, that's certainly what I'm trying to do, we have to dig deeper. And it is more work, it takes more time, but it also ultimately makes all of us better. So it's one of the reasons I also wanted to have you on here, is because I feel like having these types of relationships gets to elevate our game, right? Not just being able to information share what's happening in the market. What are you seeing? Are you seeing a lot of contracts fall apart due to appraisals? You'll call me and say, hey, Matt, I'm seeing a lot of price reductions out there. Is there movement in the market? And so I think that these types of cooperative relationships are really, really important. So kind of veering off a little bit, because I know you're a golfer. You mentioned it at the very beginning, and fortunately I've had the pleasure to play with you. I didn't play very well, but that's beside the point. Talk to us a little bit about, your passion, because I think everyone is Matt LaMarche, the Porsche enthusiast that also just so happens to be a video content creator and a golf enthusiast and a realtor and all this other stuff. So talk to us about Skap and what else.
Wait, hold on one second. I have some technical difficulties here.
While we're waiting for that, real quick, I'm going to pop your website up here too.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm back now. My TV timed out.
All good, all good. There's your website too, AtlantaPropertyAppraiser.com. Really good website. Has a link right at the top for the podcast if you want to go listen to some of those episodes as well. Would encourage you to do that as well.
Now, I believe what you were saying is about my passion about golf. So just go ahead, just give me a quick rundown again, and I'll get back into it, because I lost you there just after my passion for golf.
All good. Everyone is something plus something else. So Matt, the realtor that's into cars, into Porsches, right? Matt, the realtor that's into golf. I mean, so tell us a little bit about the golfing and how you got into that, and certainly some of the business stuff that's happened as a result.
Well, first and foremost, I got more into, I just got into golf, but like one of my other previous passions, I played baseball throughout high school, college, played softball for so many years, but at 46 years old, it's time to probably hang up the cleats. I can't move like I can anymore. So I took up golf, but before that, I also took up dock diving. I rescued this amazing little dog out of a basement closet of a house about 7 years ago, where the tenants just left her for 3 days with no food or water. I went to do the appraisal for the homeowner, the investor that owned the house, and found the dog in there. He said, just take her. I said, yeah, I'm totally taking her. She's mine. And then we got into dock diving, where the dogs run down the dock and jump into the pool. And, she became a junior champion. And then I had to kind of retire her. She had 2 knee surgeries, so we had to retire. So I got into golf, and here's how it happened. July 4th last year, I'm with my brother-in-law, and just playing around the golf at Fox Creek over there off of Windy Hill Road, and met this guy he was part of our threesome. Not that kind of threesome, everybody. Just don't be dirty. But he joined with us, and him and I just bonded really quickly. He's an ex-NFL player. I'm not going to throw his name out there, but him and I bonded as athletes and as people. And then he started calling me up, hey, let's go play golf. Well, I had pretty much similar 1975 clubs like Matt LaMarche does, and went out there and tried to do my best. But as I started playing with him more and more, I fell in love with the game. I just fell in love with the fact that I can go out there and just be at peace and do things and, really just clear my mind of things. And it just evolved from there. I mean, got newer clubs, got better, started playing more. Now, being your own business owner, I try to play like twice a week, if not more. But it's just something that gives me, a lot of people go to therapy. I mean, I go to therapy too, but a lot of people do different things to kind of manage themselves. Golf became that for me because as I was one hidden secret. Well, it's not really a hidden secret. It was I had this huge lawsuit that went on, and then I finally won after like 4 years. But during that time, I started drinking a lot, and I put myself into rehab to get myself straight. And I needed to find something that would actually give me something to take up that time that I was putting towards that. But I needed something else to get out of the house, and then that's where golf fit in. So my wife loves it. She loves that I'm out there doing it. She loves that I come home clear-headed and I'm not so angry. I'm not like all over the place. So yeah, I love it. I mean, sorry, this was my golf attire today. I shot an 88 today at the course that we played at, my home course. Had a really good time, but yeah, I really highly suggest that anybody that's in this profession, whether it's being a realtor, wait, I said that wrong. Hold on. Realtor, agent, or an appraiser or anything, we have enough stress on our lives as it is, dealing with buyers, sellers, lenders, AMCs. You need to have an outlet. You need to have something that you can just get away from. And with you, it's like, hey, the Porsche, go out in the Porsche, go see other Porsches, do other things. That's your time to just get away and drop everything. Well, that's where golf is for me. It's just my time today. I mean, seriously, after my round, I had about 32 emails and I had like 15 phone call, like voicemails from people talking, asking for appraisals. And guess what? I didn't bother with it all day long, and I'll get to them when I get to them because today was my day.
Yep.
For me just to clean myself up and just have some fun and clean my mind.
I love it. I love it. Well, so what's the analogy then? Like appraising to golf. Like what are I mean, there's so many business analogies I feel like with golf because
honestly, I
want to make this super clear before you answer. Also, by the way, guys, if you're watching and you have questions for Skap, leave them down in the comments. We will bring you up and have them answered here live. But this is a wild concept. If you didn't know anything about golf and I just said to you, hey, Skap, we're going to take this ball, right, that's this big, and about 500 yards away, there's a hole that's about that big. And the idea is to go from here to there with this ball on top of this little wooden thing, put it in the hole. You'd be like, this is the dumbest idea I've ever heard of in my life. Like, it's impossible, right? Yet it's not, right? So talk to us a little bit about the analogy between business, even appraisals, and golf, because I think there's a lot of parallels.
Well, I think for appraising wise, it's a lot of analysis. It's a lot of analyzing your next shot, analyzing where you want to be. I mean, I find myself many times looking at that on my iPhone, looking at the layout going, okay, I don't want to go left. I want to be over here. It's actually being strategic on setting yourself up for the next best shot. It's not always about hitting the long ball and getting the highest offer out there. It's about making sure that next step is easy and making sure that you have the right approach to it to make it so that you can get par, you can get a birdie. It's not always just about killing the ball. It's not always about, trying to avoid things. You look at it, you plan it. But again, it's also being disciplined. It's also being like, hey, you know what? I need to make sure I take the right swing. I mean, to make sure that I putt this the right way. I mean, I don't want to keep putting it hard so that it rolls across the whole green, if you know what I mean. But yeah.
Let me get this knife out of my back. Hold on here real quick.
but I mean, the same with business. It's very strategic. It's very you have to look at it, but at the same time, it's fun. I think appraising is fun. I enjoy seeing other homes. I enjoy doing what I do. I enjoy talking to people. I have fun with that. I don't think of it so much as a business. I think like when I'm out there, it's fun. And that's what golf is for me. It's fun. It allows me to gather data. Every round I play, I'm gathering more and more data, whether it's on my swing, what club I use, how I played that hole, whatever, so I think golf is pretty useful in many aspects, honestly.
I love it.
You made me think there, man, and that was really cool.
Well, we'll give you a mental break real quick. Mary is here. She says, hi, Mark. Thank you, Mary, for joining us. Really appreciate you being here. Okay, so we included the Instagram, we included the website. If anyone out there, whether they're an agent, they're a consumer, like, you know how social media works, like, this is going to go to a lot of different people in a lot of different places. So talk to us a little bit about, like, who's the ideal client for you to work with.
Wow, ideal client. I mean, honestly, I mean, anybody really. I mean, except of commercial. I don't do commercial appraisal, so I don't do anything dealing with any kind of commercial properties. You know, there are some things like such as, you know, eminent domains and things of that nature we get higher into that I don't deal with. I think for me, it's just, you know, your everyday residential person, you know, whether you're looking to sell a house, buy a house, get an opinion on what that house is worth. If you're an agent, just you're not sure about the size of the home, or you're not sure about how somebody else would think. Look, appraisers aren't the enemies out there. I mean, there are a lot of appraisers like myself, and I think there's a lot of them out there that are be willing to give you their time or charge you for their time to come out and measure the home properly, so you know exactly what you're dealing with. To give you a second look at it from a different standpoint, from an unbiased standpoint, where I'm not worried about the colors of the house or this or that, you know. So, you know, for me, the ideal person is somebody that, you know, agents like yourself that just want to learn more, want to be better, want to bring their game from here to here. Because there's a lot that, I mean, I've learned a lot from you and other agents through Clubhouse, and learned about how you guys do things. But yet there's not many appraisers out there we see that get engaged with agents out there to push their information or what they know to help them get better. So, I mean, I just want anybody that was willing to learn. If you know, there are many times, I will say this, there's many times you can call me up. I won't charge you for my time if you have a question about something, or if you need me to look up something, because I'm trying to help you, and I'm trying to help you help your clients, you know, and then we'll make it up later on, you know, We'll figure it out. But that's, to me, it's just, you know, anybody out there that's just willing to learn and wants to know information or wants to get an idea of things. That's who I want to work with.
I love that. Well, I think it's also worth mentioning. So, but legitimately, like, I think a month before I even met you on Clubhouse, actually, that's the craziness of Clubhouse, is that I could meet someone that lives 20 miles from me. And I probably, you know, cross paths at some other point, right? Even though I've only been in the business for 3 years. But just before I met you, there was a property that I sold back at the end of this year, end of last year, rather, just actually right at a year ago now. That it was a very, very unique property. And this is one way I feel like you can add a ton of value, because there are those unique properties, you know, whether it's in a subdivision or on a plot of land somewhere that doesn't really fit, you know, the surrounding area, so to speak, or the comps, as we like to call them. So talk to us a little bit about that, because I did hire an independent appraiser to come in and say, look, this is actually what a bank will give you on this house, right? And that's actually how we started to set a lot of the pricing, in addition to conversations with the actual seller. But I think talk a little bit about that, because there are some very unique homes, from the UFO shaped house up in Kennesaw to this log cabin in Sandy Springs that I sold. Like, there's a wide plethora out there.
Don't forget about the little castle in Roswell.
That's right. I forgot about that.
With the moat around it, you know. Don't forget about that one either. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, you're going to have unique properties, and it's going to be hard to comp things out, or it's going to be hard to find out what that data is and what people are looking at, you know, in respects to that. Sometimes you may not be able to get a residential appraiser like myself to actually be able to do something like that. You may have to find somebody that's maybe a little more experienced with unique properties, where you may have to look elsewhere. You may have to go to different places. You know, I don't know everything. I'll be honest with you. I don't know everything. Yes, I'm an appraiser. Even most people think that appraisers know everything. I don't know everything. I ask a lot of other appraisers for help all the time. I ask agents. When you get into unique properties, you know, you just need to get as much information as you possibly can. And if you can't figure out what is comparable, or figure out what kind of differences there are, yes, go call a local appraiser or somebody that, you know, is reputable in your area,
And it may cost you some money. Maybe some appraisers won't, but it may cost you some money to do it. But at least you're getting somebody else and another set of eyes on it. That, again, I'm going to stress it's unbiased. Like, I just don't care. I'm just going to look at this and I want to see everything. And then let me see what I can come up with, because I deal with things like this all the time. I mean, there are properties that were unique that I've done. There, some of them I get to and I go, yeah, I better call the lender. I can't do this. This is out of my league. I'm not even touching this.
Yeah.
So, there's many different ways to do it. You're not stuck. I mean, again, you could call me and I might look at this property and go, hey, let me tell you something. This is out of both of our leagues. Let me contact so-and-so who I know does unique properties all throughout the United States, or does something, in this area or whatever, that may have a little more expertise in this.
For sure.
And we refer them to you so that you can get better help. The networking, that's just how it works. Not everybody knows everything, and you don't want to be that person that says, I'm going to list this house for $1 million, only to find out later that it's that nobody's buying on it or biting on it. And then next thing you know, it's like 499,000. And you're like, you're in bad shape. And there goes your reputation as well as anybody else's.
Well, I'm going to take your words. You said it can cost you a little up front, or it can cost you a lot at the end, right? Like, those unique properties are so hard because square footage is one thing, but like this cabin, the castle, like, square footage doesn't matter. Like, when you walk up and you got to drive over a moat, not many people are okay with that. So anyway, no, I agree. And that's one of the hardest things I think about this job, right? Is that everyone thinks, all the sellers think their house is worth $1 million more than it actually is. And buyers think it's worth half of what they think it's worth. So, we're all trying to find where the market value is. And obviously, you have, to go back to the golf reference, you have a ton of tools in your bag to help us get there. So I really appreciate you taking the time today. Let's wrap this up with a quick plug for, again, we mentioned the website, we mentioned the Instagram. Anywhere else you'd like for people to go?
No, man, just AtlantaPropertyAppraiser.com. If you need any questions or have anything, go to my Instagram. You can hit me up, ask me questions, get in Clubhouse if you're not in there. Matt Lamarche is a master at it. And I'm telling you, you'll really make some good networking and some good contacts there. But I'm always open to anybody hitting me up, calling me, sending me a message. I'm always available to give my advice and give, my opinion on things. Again, I may not always be right, but, I'll just do the best I possibly can for you.
That's all we can ask for. That and good weather for golf.
Yes, and slower putting greens.
Hey, it's 66 today, which December 17th, that's slower greens.
Dude, it was really nice out today. I wish you were out there.
I do too. I do too, man. I appreciate you so much. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you, and appreciate your time. Hope you have a great weekend.
I appreciate it. You have a good holidays, have a good weekend, and everything else, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Absolutely. Thank you. Bye-bye. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much again for joining. If this is your first time, tap that subscribe button. Also, make sure you tap the bell for notifications. We're doing this every single Friday at about 4 o'clock. So 20, 30, 40, an hour. You just never know how long it's going to go. But really appreciate Mark being here and pouring into us this afternoon and giving you, hopefully the consumer or another agent out there, the opportunity to learn a little more about what he does, why he does what he does. And honestly, the connection there, I think, is really, really important. A lot of people see the inspector and the appraiser as, someone that can kill a deal. That's just not their job. They're here to help us, actually. So I appreciate him being on here. But if there's another guest that you'd like to see here, leave a comment below. Obviously, if you'd like to come on, we would love to have you on here. I'm interviewing agents and appraisers and inspectors and anyone around this industry to bring as much value here on the Friday as we end out our week. But I really do appreciate you all being here. And again, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you do that now. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.